Get out the power vacuum for the Mountain Dew stains and Cheeto dust on the red carpet, because it's time for gaming's biggest night. Welcome to Triple Click, where we bring the games to you. This week, we talk about the Game Awards. Which deserves Game of the Year, Elden Ring or The Case of the Golden Idol? An impossible decision, since one of those games wasn't nominated. I'm Maddy Myers.
I'm Jason Schreier.
And I'm Kirk Hamilton, and hello.
Hello.
Hi.
It's us.
It's
We're
December.
back again.
Oh my gosh. It's the end of the
It
year.
is December.
We're almost at the end of the year. That's crazy.
Thank goodness. It's
Thank
goodness.
almost
Feel that way, I
time
suppose.
for gaming's biggest night. And I know I can't wait. Can't wait to see those looks on the red
We all
carpet.
can't wait for gaming's biggest night.
You know, I do enjoy it every year, even somewhat ironically. But you know what else I really enjoy is
What?
the television show Andor.
Me too.
I really liked it. I really enjoyed that show.
If only there was a place where people could listen to us talk about
Right.
the television show.
That's
Andor.
true.
That's
that would
right.
be great.
For example, a place where we could just fully spill the beans about every single thing that happened in it, really get into it, really dissect it. You know, I think we should record some type of bonus episode for it for the month of
Okay.
December. And you know why I think that
I'm
is
into it.
because we've been doing that every single month since we started this show on Max Fun, the Max Fun Network. And if you, the listener, were to go to MaximumFun.org/join, you could become a member, and then you would have this huge backlog of every monthly bonus episode that we've ever recorded, which is like a lot of episodes. Like we did a God of War Ragnarok episode last month, but this upcoming month, we're doing one on the television show Andor about Cassian Andor from Star Wars.
Good old Cassian Andor. Really, we're going to just talk about Nemec for the entire time, but
We're not going to talk
Cassian's
about
cool too.
Dr. Forehands, Quadpaw, whatever his name is.
We could talk about Quadpaw too, but I just want to read all of the available excerpts from Nemec's manifesto. That's what we will be doing on this bonus
know.
episode. It's going to be great.
But they have a fight on their hands, don't they? Our elemental rights are such a simple thing to hold, they will have to shake the galaxy awfully hard to loosen our grip.
Love that kid.
Anyway, we're going to talk about Andor. So MaximumFun.org/join, become a member, support our wonderful show,
Yeah.
which doesn't have any ads, and listen to us spill the beans about various things that we like.
We also just did a big God of War spoiler
Yeah.
cast, which is really fun.
Yes.
And you can listen
Yes.
to that
True.
right now if you become a member or if you already are a member.
Immediately. As soon as you become a
Instant
member,
gratification.
you can immediately get access to all those episodes. They're right there. They're waiting for you
It is true.
behind the gossamer
You press
curtain.
the subscribe button, and then all three of us just comes out of whatever speakers or headphones
Right.
you're listening on. We all mispronounce Jormungandr at the same time.
Yeah, we all do.
Jormungandr?
Jorgenmeister.
And then I just insistently say the world serpent as though that's going to help
Yes,
you guys.
yes.
Yeah, that was a great app. Anyway, we're in this episode right now, this one, and we're going to talk
we
about
are.
gaming's biggest night. The
We are.
I was just
The
looking. Do they
Keeleys.
really call it? Do they really call it gaming's
Of
biggest
course
night?
not. No, I call it
I mean,
that.
if by
Oh, you
they
call
you
it
mean Maddy Myers,
yeah,
then yes.
I do,
Okay.
and I'm trying to get it started.
Maddie,
because
it's
it's
I
funny.
really thought that was like their slogan or
No,
whatever. like their
Jason,
tag.
it is the slogan of the Oscars, movies biggest
Yeah.
night.
Right. Okay.
That's the joke. But thanks
That's
for
why I'm
asking me to explain it.
confused.
So on this topic, what do you think was gaming's biggest night of the year 2022?
Probably
night-
probably when Elden Ring came out.
Elden Ring
we
came
were
out. That's what I was about to
playing
say.
it.
The night
The night Elden Ring
out.
came out. That was going to be my guess too. That's probably the easiest answer, right?
Yeah. That was a pretty cool night.
I bet Twitch could probably tell you that. You could go by viewer statistics or something like that, maybe, to try to answer
Oh.
that question.
Well, you could go by our podcast statistics, and based on that, it's
that's
Right.
all things
yeah,
Elden
that's
Ring.
pretty undeniable that Elden Ring is the night that came out.
Speaking of Elden Ring,
Yeah, so let's finally talk about Elden Ring because we haven't
Finally,
gotten to
yes.
it.
okay,
ever.
so we are actually a little bit of meta info here. We're actually recording this a week early because I am heading off to Los Angeles to go to the Game Awards, to gaming's biggest night next week.
Yes.
Although
Jason is nominated for Content Creator of the Year. We're very proud.
I
And
am-
who are
I
you going to be
created so
wearing,
much content.
Jason?
I am
true.
going to be wearing the traditional video game journalist garb of jeans and a blazer.
Yeah,
Blazer,
jeans and a
little
blazer,
Jeans,
classic.
a button down, and a blazer. That's what I will
Thank
be wearing
goodness.
for most of the week.
These are
'cause
Levi
it says-
Strauss.
Well, I feel like what I like about that look is it says, I tried, but not too hard. It says, like, I'm not a schlubby, like, I'm not wearing a sweatshirt to this
Like, you
big
did
game
laundry.
award event. I did my laundry. I'm not going out there in shorts and a hoodie, John Fetterman style, but I'm not going to wear a suit because, like, come on, what kind of nerd?
Yeah, you're not some kind
wear
of
a
shill.
suit? Yeah, I'm not.
You're
I'm not
a cool,
a suit.
casual gamer.
Exactly. So anyway, so we're recording this early. I'm going out to LA next week. It's going to be fun. Looking forward to it. Can talk a little bit in a bit about the experience of being there, which is intense. I've actually been considering just like watching it from my hotel room, which gives you the same effect.
Not going
Have you ever
to the
been in a
theater?
theater with blaring advertisements for 90 minutes?
Well, the appeal of going is really
like
just
3
schmoozing
hours.
afterwards at the
of
JW
course.
Marriott. Like I talked about this last year afterwards.
is-
But it was like you look to your left and it's Reggie Fils-Aimé, and then you look to your right and it's Phil Spencer, and then all around you are just like people that are interesting that you can talk to and try to get some interesting gossip out of for future reporting. At least if you're
Look
me.
in front of you, it's Sonic the Hedgehog. Look behind you,
Sonic was there.
there's
Man.
Luigi. Holy shit, it's Luigi. He's staring at me. He's giving me a dirty look.
I got the biggest
Luigi
scoop
was
from
surprisingly
Sephiroth last time I went. He was like,
Yeah.
Cloud Strife.
He was like, "There's a meteor. Don't tell anyone.
Yes.
This
Yes.
can all go on as long as you guys want, but the meteor will be striking as soon as the event is over."
So if anything we say is a little bit out of date or like stuff has been announced, it's because we're recording this a week early. So like if suddenly there are big Keeley teases for things,
Like if Luigi dies, then we
right,
didn't
if
know
Luigi,
about it at this
if
time.
Luigi dies
again.
It dies again a second time, yeah.
Yeah, both Mario and Luigi have died multiple times. Mario was killed by Sephiroth. Luigi was killed. I don't even remember what was it
by existential dread, I
I think
think.
he was
yeah.
scared to death.
Yeah, he was
Yes,
scared
by
to
a
death.
ghost.
Very strange experience. Anyway, the
What a
Game
way to
Awards.
go.
So for people who don't know, the Game Awards are kind of this annual video game award extravaganza, and they're really the reason that people care about them is not because of the awards. They are half awards show and half like hype fest for the
Would we
coming
say
years.
it's 50-50?
That was a broad statement. Some people care about the awards, but yes, they are well known and well observed for the trailers.
I would say they would get a fraction of their audience if it was only awards. No,
Yes,
people.
but when you
tune
say
in.
no one watches for the awards, people
Okay.
only care
Okay,
about it.
Kirk,
I'm
yes.
just pushing back on a patented Schreier
Yes.
overstatement.
Okay, other than the parents of the people who were nominated for awards.
Exactly,
I
and that's
hope they're
quite a
not
few
watching,
parents.
because the awards are rushed through every year. They
It's
are
really
just
funny.
blasted through so that Jeff can get to those sweet trailers,
Sweet,
those
sweet
exclusive
exclusives.
reveals.
So it's
Worldwide
basically
exclusive.
like E3 in
Very
December. It's kind of like balancing out the year with a bunch of like, here's what's coming next, hype reveals and announcements and stuff. And we can talk a little bit about that. So really the show is kind of like interspersed with, it's like a mix of that and then the actual awards. And then for some reason, because Jeff Keighley, the guy in charge, the video game industry's hype man who we've been talking about here, because he loves live music, he always sticks in like 4 band performances for no reason. And part of what makes it excruciating is just how
It's 'cause he
long
For no
it is.
reason, for the reason that the performances are the best part of the whole show. Man.
Well,
Like
no,
introduce
good.
Green Day and be like, "I love Green Day," and that's why we're all getting.
Well, I don't know about Green Day. Remember, like the Cuphead
No,
singers?
Kirk, that's
and
not what I'm
Killer
talking
Orchestra?
about. Kirk, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about random bands. It's like he announced some. I'll look up exactly what he said was already.
Well,
coming,
like
but-
Imagine Dragons.
But
performed
yes,
last
Imagine
year.
Dragons or
Sick,
like-
awesome, love Imagine Dragons.
Yes, or Green
My
Day
favorite
is
band.
randomly there.
They play the song from Arcane.
Yeah, well, I mean, Imagine Dragons had a reason
Green
to be there.
Day. That's gonna be fun to watch. Green Day. I don't know. I'd rather watch Green Day than another ad for another game that's coming out next
Green Day
year.
is not there. This is not a thing. No.
So Green Day is there, is what you're telling me?
Hosier.
I think they were
Green
there
Day is
last
there.
year.
Who is
I think Green Day
Hosier?
was there last year.
Hosier is there. I don't know
Now
where
I'm
Hosier
looking
is.
it
but
up.
They're a
Hosier
band.
is there.
So I guess
they're a
I will say then to just be clear that I want to support Jeff Keighley's overall love of music, because I think that is also the thing that causes him to always have a large studio orchestra and a bunch
Mm-hmm.
of cool instruments and performances. And that, to me, that's the reason I tune in.
Green Day was there in 2019, which says a lot about my perception of time, that I thought that was quote unquote last year. My apologies. But in a way,
yeah, what is-
2019 was last year, if you really
Kirk,
think about it.
I think what you miss out by not being there, quote unquote, miss out, is how excruciatingly long the whole thing is. And even at home, it can be just a slog to get
Yeah.
through. And one
I'm
of the
gonna go
reasons
ahead
for
and
that.
say, covering it from home, I'm not missing out on how long it is. I know
Well,
exactly.
I think it
It's
feels
quite long
longer.
when you watch the stream,
It feels
too.
longer when you have to sit there on like the commercials instead of being able to mute the commercials, because they're commercials for games in the middle of all the commercials for games, and instead of just being able to mute them, you have to. They're just like in your ears the whole time.
I
and
can
it's just
get
like,
up. I can get a drink of water. Go
You're
give
hungry the
Dina
whole
a kiss
time.
because she's going to bed, and I'm staying up for several more hours.
Right.
You
Nothing
know.
I'm saying is about the length of the show. I'm simply saying that when I am watching and a musical performance comes on, it tends to be one of the cooler things about the show. And hopefully there will be some cool ones this year as well.
I agree. And hearing the orchestral versions of video game songs, still pretty freaking great.
Pretty
in
cool,
any
yeah, it's
context
always
in which
nice.
that appears. I enjoy it.
Yes.
So there are kind of 2 reasons to tune in, I suppose. 3 reasons if you count the music, but the main reasons
there
that
you
people
go.
tune in are for the awards themselves, to find out who won Game of the Year, which is kind of like I guess considered among the industry, that's considered the Game of the Year award at this point. Like this is considered the kind of like a big award show.
Like winning Best Picture at the Academy Award, even though there are other Best Picture awards that you could win.
Except it's nothing like winning Best Picture at the Academy Awards at all, because this
Well,
institution is so completely different from the Academy.
but I think in the industry that it is sort of agreed upon that if you win Game of the Year at the Game Awards, that is the closest thing to winning Game of the Year. In the same way that the Academy Awards are kind of the closest thing to winning Best Picture.
That is true, but I also
It is the closest thing, and yet it is still so far from
Yes, it is still very different.
what
yes.
the Oscars actually does as an institution.
in one of the many ways that the games industry is very, very different
yes,
from the movie
yes,
industry.
that's all I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Yes.
It's funny because even when you look at the Oscars, you're kind of like, whoa, how did that win Best Picture? How did
Right.
Crash win Best Picture? The same way you might look at the Game Awards and be like, whoa, It Takes Two won Game of the Year last year? That's strange. But anyway, so there's that, and then there's the new reveals, and we can kind of talk about both stuff. First, let's start by talking about what we want to see from the new reveals, what we expect to see, what we're hoping to see, what we have heard, the buzz we've heard, what has been teased. Typically, there's like a mix of updates for ongoing games like Among Us. I think they're teasing that they're going to be there. And then like big new explosive reveals. Last year's Game Awards, they announced a Wonder Woman game that's 40 years away. And they announced Star Wars Eclipse from Quantic Dream. So we'll probably see some others
right.
of those, like those sorts of teasers. And then we're going to see some updates on games that we already know exist. So for example, Final Fantasy 16, they're going to be doing a whole showcase there. Probably will announce a release date for that game, which is exciting. Diablo 4, the Blizzard has been teasing that they're going to be there, and all sorts of other stuff. What do you guys, Maddy, I'll start with you. What do you want to see? What are you expecting to see? What are you hoping to see?
Oof. I mean, I guess I have nothing I'm hoping to see, because all I ever want in
Nothing
life is
you're hoping to see?
Metroid news. That's all I ever want.
What
you
about
guys know
Elden
this.
Ring DLC?
Okay, you're right. That's true.
Okay,
Leading
there
question,
we go.
Your Honor. This is a
No,
leading question.
you're right. I was feeling sad for myself, because I feel like as a Metroid fan, after Metroid Dread, I'm like, I guess I'll just never get anything again. It's all over now. But you're right. It's not over. Elden Ring DLC. I have something to live for. It's all going to be okay.
Nice big chunk
something
of
to
Elden Ring to
download.
jump into.
Maybe we'll find out. I have no rumors, Jason. I have no inside info. So here's just wild speculations. I'd love to find out more about the Assassin's Creed game that people keep also similarly wildly speculating will be a return to form, and that means whatever the person saying that sentence wants it to mean, whichever part of the Assassin's Creed backlog they like the most, they believe that is what the next Assassin's Creed will be. I'd love to see more information about that. But
Mirage,
beyond that,
Assassin's Creed Mirage.
Mirage, yeah.
I think, I've heard about that game. It's a return to form in the sense that it's more of a stealth game than an RPG, like newer games are.
But can you push people around in a crowd or not? And
I'm
are
sure
there
you
dots
can.
on a map?
I'm
or
sure
not?
there are. It's all in one city, like some of the older games. So that's, I think, part of
This is like a developer interview, Maddie. Keep asking questions.
Yeah, right.
Are there points of interest, Jason?
What shape are the dots? Are they different colors?
Is there a hidden
Or
blade?
do you level up? But you only level up like 1% of each kind of ability, so it doesn't really matter? Or is it like a real
Are there
leveling up?
dialogue options and branching dialogue?
Kirk, what do you want to
questions.
see from
Casey
the
didn't
Game
answer any of our
Awards?
questions.
What do you expect to see from the Game Awards?
I don't know. It'd be cool to see Elden Ring. The trailers all exhaust me, even when they wind up being for games that I really like.
Yeah.
I kind of tune them out at this point because they all operate at a sort of audiovisual frequency that I'm just increasingly deaf to. It's just that certain thing. I don't know. Looking at the game, hearing the game.
What if it's all Trombone Champ DLC, though, Kirk? Would that be exciting for you?
If they have an ad for Trombone Champ DLC, I'll be very excited.
I was thinking about that, Kirk, that sort of that point you just made, because I wonder if game companies nowadays are like, okay, so the benefit of being there is that you get exposed to millions and millions of people who are all watching this one thing at the same time. You trend on Twitter. You're like part of this big cultural moment. The downside, and I think it's a pretty big downside, is you get lost among the crowd. And like the next week, is anyone going to remember that you announced your game at the Game Awards? Like, does anybody remember that there was a Wonder Woman game
Honestly,
announced last
I
year at the
didn't
Game
until
Awards?
you said it 3 minutes ago.
Nobody, right?
Yep, same.
So, yeah, I don't know. There are pros and cons to that approach.
Yeah, I mean, this is all sort of like marketing punditry, which is just something I don't really understand. Like, I don't know who it benefits to be there more than it would benefit them to do something on their own.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to see Silk Song. I mean, I just hope Springs
Right.
Eternal that release date for Silk Song will happen at one of these things, because at some point it has to, right? It has to eventually come out. So maybe this will be the night.
Yeah, if it's not then, it's probably not this year, right? Like, there's no other opportunities in December. They're not going to be
Yeah,
like,
we're
hey,
running out of
Christmas Day
year."
surprise.
Yeah.
An Elden Ring DLC. Are you hoping for that?
Oh yeah, I mean that's the thing I'm most excited to play, and I will get hype when they show more Elden Ring, just because that's exciting. But seeing the actual trailer isn't the thing I want, right? I want the game, I want the DLC, I want to be playing Elden Ring again.
You want it to be available
Yeah,
now.
I see that. I mean, what's exciting about it is getting the date, and it's be like, okay, now I can mark this on my calendar. Now I can look ahead.
Just
and
getting to
look forward
share the
this.
excitement with everybody on
Yeah,
Discord or
that's
whatever.
kinda
Yeah,
fun.
for sure. That'll be great. Yeah.
So I think that there's going to be a good chance that in this period next year, from like May through, I don't know, September, or May through August or something, that we're going to have the following things: Breath of the Wild 2, Final Fantasy 16, Diablo 4, and Baldur's Gate 3, which might actually kill me. I think that might actually just lead to my death if all of those games come out around the same time.
Wow.
I also think there's a good chance of Elden Ring DLC. I think we're going to see the new Star Wars game, the Jedi Fallen Order sequel. Rumor floating around the internet is that is coming out in March, and is going to get a very quick announcement to release date period, which means that next year is going to be full of a lot of cool stuff, and we're probably going to start to see some hints of that at the Game Awards. It feels like we might be heading into a period of like the post-COVID delay release slate, where all the games that were delayed because of COVID are finally coming out. All the games that were delayed because of next gen transitional issues are finally coming out, and maybe we'll start to see the fruition of that at the Game Awards. And I don't know, I hear you guys and not being into the hype or the marketing or whatever, but especially after a year like this that felt pretty thin when it came to the big game releases, I would like to see some interesting stuff. I would like to have some stuff to write about. I would like some interesting stories to tell. With some of these games, I mean, I'm like, don't care as much about the games as much as I do about the stories behind them. So I don't know. I'm into it. I'm looking forward to seeing what they have, despite the
me too.
accosting of the senses.
I don't know
is
if
the Game
I
Awards.
agree that this year didn't have that many games, though. They were just coming out at really odd times, which definitely made the year feel different. Like the fact
big
that we had
games, big
two
AAA
huge
releases.
we didn't really talk about them, but there were 2 huge open world Pokemon games in one year this past year. It's just that none of us is super into Pokemon, so we refuse to acknowledge those games, and we never will.
Not even talk about them.
And I mean, to have Elden Ring and God of War Ragnarok and a Horizon sequel and Dying Light 2, which didn't really get any nominations, but like that's a bunch of huge big ticket open world games. I mean, those are things that we all enjoyed playing. And I already know that Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out next year, so that's already been something that I'm looking forward to. So it's not like I'm looking to the Game Awards this year to give me that release date. I know it's coming. So it is kind of a weird spot where I'm like not entirely sure what the big reveal would be at the Game Awards. It's not like years past where we've been like, oh my God, Elden Ring trailer? Are they going to finally tell us anything? This year, I don't think there is something like that. At least for me, where I'm looking to Jeff Keighley to reveal something to me that I'm desperate to hear about.
Yeah, I mean, there are a few things we could see. Sony doesn't really have much announced for the next couple of years, other than like Spider-Man 2, right? Microsoft could always come out and be like, hey, here's this game that we announced 5 years and then disappeared for, which is like all of the games that they announced like in 2018. Nintendo can always just come out and show something cool. They could show Metroid Prime 4 or something like that, and Maddy would have herself a night.
That would really surprise me. I mean, I guess that could happen.
There's some like heavy hitters in the works behind the scenes. I don't think we'll see a new BioShock because I think that's still a ways away, but that's in development. Could see Ken Levine's new game could come out of nowhere and blow us all away.
Sure.
Could see, I don't know, GTA 6. We're not going to see GTA 6.
That Perfect Dark reboot that has disappeared and may never return again.
Exactly. New Tomb Raider. I think that's going to be around at some point. Anyway, enough of the speculation. Let's talk about the nominees, because this is, after all, an awards show. We can kind of go through some of the ones that stood out to us. We've all been kind of flipping through them, but first and foremost, let's talk about Game of the Year. So Game of the Year nominees are A Plague Tale Requiem, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3. What do you two make of this list of Game of the Year nominees?
These are so weird. I mean, I understand why Elden Ring is there. I also understand why God of War Ragnarok is there. And then after that, I start being like, the Game Awards are very unusual. They're just an unusual show. And some of that is because of the diversity of publications who are asked to weigh in. And some of it is because there's also fan voting. That's a piece of it. So you end up with very weird collections of games.
Well, fans don't nominate. It's only,
right. That's correct.
Only
publications.
So I think that speaks to the point I made earlier about this being kind of a thin year for AAA games. And I think kind of what I've gathered from like analyst conversations and all the numbers about like the sales, like sales have gone way down this year compared to previous years. There's some crazy stat, like down 10% or something year over year. And the general consensus is that there's been very few big games this year compared to other years. And I actually think this Game of the Year nominees list kind of reflects that, because usually the Game of the Year at the Game Awards is like one of the big blockbuster single player action adventure games that we tend to get a lot of every single year, right?
Which is why It Takes Two won last year.
Well, and most years. Last year was a weird year. We all know that. But yeah, but that's why, like, seeing, yes, Elden Ring makes sense, God of War makes sense, Horizon also makes sense, but the rest of them don't really make sense. I think we're kind of missing some games that could potentially fill in there. And if you look at all the games that have been delayed out of this year, like Starfield or Breath of the Wild 2 or a lot of other things, those could have potentially been fits for that, for this category. And so instead, we're getting kind of oddball choices like Stray and Plague Tale and Xenoblade 3.
Yeah, there's a sort of a like polish level, budget level to all of these games that just has always been a weird distinction for me between this and the best indie category.
Yeah.
You have Stray in both, so that implies that there isn't a hard distinction between best indie and Game of the Year. But still, you look at this list and it is all games with pretty beautiful visuals. I mean, that's kind of the thing they all have in common. I know Stray was a smaller team, but it still looks like a AAA game. And then A Plague Tale Requiem, great game from what I've played of it, and I really like it. That's a really polished and beautiful looking game. And then there's nothing on, I mean, there are other games that come to mind. Vampire Survivors, that got a nomination somewhere, but that's like definitely a game that's going to be in the conversation among people who play games as Game of the Year. Things like Rogue Legacy 2. Also, Wordle didn't really turn up here, and I think that could have been a really interesting entry, and I've been assuming that Wordle was going to turn up on a lot of lists at the end of the year, which I imagine it would. It's one of the most talked about games of the year, certainly. It's one of the games that I played the most, even though I stopped playing it a little while ago. I still play it sometimes.
I don't think it's considered a game by the Game Awards standards.
Well, and that kind of gets into this odd categorization like challenge that this awards show runs into, where there are a lot of categories, like a whole lot of categories if you look at them. And then there are kind of unspoken rules about who gets nominated for which category. And those rules exist, but they're kind of fungible. And like I said, they're unspoken. And there are so many different people nominating that it makes it even more vague. But the rules do exist. Like there is something similar across all of these Game of the Year nominees it's a little intangible, but it's there.
Yeah. And they are unspoken rules for what it's worth. Polygon does vote. And you two remember when Kotaku voted. So you remember that it really is. You can just submit the games that you want in each category. And nobody tells you what action/adventure game means. Jeff doesn't have a rubric that he sends out being like, okay, so here's what it needs to have to qualify as action/adventure. And here's a different set of criteria that is for the best RPG category. That would be really weird if he did that, but in some ways it might be useful because as it is, we are in a world where the best fighting game category includes Sifu, which is not a fighting game.
It's a game with fighting.
It is a game that has fighting in it, but it is not a fighting game. And I have a suspicion, although I have no way to confirm this, but I believe that Sifu is listed there because if you Google Fighting Games 2022, Sifu comes up. And I think that some editors somewhere, I don't know where, not Polygon, I can promise that much, may have done that Google search and just filled in some games that they remember hearing good buzz about. And they may not have been aware that Sifu actually is not a fighting game.
I remember how much the one time we did this, like 2014 or 2015, I remember how much we struggled to fill in some of the categories.
Yeah.
So like only one person would be able to vote on some of the categories. So
right.
yes, it's kind of a haphazard process.
It's tough.
I will say, I don't know, I always get a little bit miffed at some of the snubs every year. This year specifically, I think the case of the Golden Idol, the only reason that it's not nominated somewhere, best indie, best narrative, whatever, is because not enough people played it. And I always think that's a shame when just like a game goes under the radar a little too much.
I think the timing didn't work out for what it's worth, because I know the nominations for the Game Awards happen like a while before the voting level happens.
The game came out October this year.
Fair enough.
When were the nominees? November?
I don't know. That's
yeah,
far
I
enough.
think it's just
maybe not enough people had played it in
maybe
time.
There wasn't enough word of mouth.
Yeah.
No, but I still think not enough people have played it. It's just because like it looks, the art style, as we talked about last week, is a little off-putting, and so I think not a lot of people have given it a chance. And I think if they did, it would really blow people away. So yeah, that's a bit of a snub that I was a little irked by.
Does seem like that best narrative or something. There's no best design category, which I think could open the door to a slightly different kind of a game getting recognized in a way that would make sense. And that's really, I mean, it's every time I look at these categories, that's always my first thought, is that they've made their job very difficult because of the types of categories that they're picking, because they're not exactly, well, they are kind of genre categories, and genre is impossible. Like, if you write about things, music, games, whatever, on the internet or talk about them, you quickly run into genre. It's just the first thing every time, because there is no clear way to say, well, this is action adventure, it's not, action, or this is jazz, it's not pop. It's the same thing in any art form, and that's why the stronger awards that are easier to talk about and consider tend to move to not mess with that. Like at the Academy Awards, they're not doing best action movie, best comedy, that kind of thing. And anytime an awards show does go into that realm, it feels really weird. Like the Emmys, don't they do that? Or the Golden Globes, maybe they have like best comedy and then best drama, and it's always a little like, well, but this comedy movie made me cry, or this drama was funny, so what exactly? Like, it always feels weird because it's subjective,
right? Yeah, because genre is bullshit.
And in this case, Game of the Year is just Game of the Year, where then Indie Game of the Year, it's like, wait, what? And then Best Action Game, it's like, hang on, but weren't all the Games of the Year action games? So it's a way to recognize a lot of different games, but it muddies the water, and so many of the categories are doing that with a good goal to recognize more games and to include more things, but it does kind of leave me feeling a little bit at sea when I'm actually trying to decide what I think deserved to be there, or didn't deserve to be there, or what should win.
Yeah, well, it speaks to the problem with video games have, which is that there's so many different ways to be a video game, from Overwatch 2 to Wordle that it's like it's almost bad terminology that we just refer to them all as games. Like it's just too all-encompassing.
Or you could go the other direction where you're specifically recognizing, you get more specific about it. That's why something like best design, that winds up being an interesting conversation because you can argue about the design of Citizen Sleeper versus the design of God of War Ragnarok. They're different, but you're comparing a thing that feels like for like, instead of just saying, well, this one was indie and this one is big budget, so they're just in different categories or something.
But that's only the case with some stuff, right? Like you could also say best score, but not every game is it. Wordle doesn't have a score or music. Wordle doesn't have a narrative, or I don't know if you want to talk about like best. I don't know, best performance. I think that's well, Wordle
doesn't have actors in it, so
but yeah, like applicable. Or any of these kind of categories. Well, so what's interesting about it, comparing it, one of the reasons you can't really compare this to the Academy Awards is because every single movie has a script. Every single movie has like a best, like an actor that can be nominated, cinematography, whatever. Like you can kind of compare them all. Whereas with games, you can't really. Like it's very, very difficult to make draw distinctions between, I don't know, multiverses and like God of War Ragnarok, right? Like
it's all kind of subjective. I think they could have more fun with the categories. Best single button interaction, like there could be, and I'm serious, what a fun award that would be, right?
That would be cool.
That would, yes, 100%. If we did triple click awards, I think we would make unique ones like that, where like
we should do that.
It's just a lot more fun than friggin' action adventure, whatever that means. But because this is trying to be as mainstream as possible, and also, I mean, I'm sure there's an element of like the award show organizers wanting to like bring in as many games as possible, maintain relationships with as many companies as possible, and make sure that they all have a chance to be nominated for some of this stuff. So I'm sure that's a reason for all the categories as well.
Mm-hmm. It does get tricky with this next one too, best game direction, which every year I'm always like, well, I don't really know how
it's
good a job the director
what that
did.
Means.
For one, like the person with the title director doesn't necessarily have the same job at each studio, for one.
Right. It doesn't mean anything. It's a useless award. It's kind of like,
we can kind of mean most coherent from start to finish.
Yeah, that's kind of how I interpret it, is like the game that cohered and all of it felt like it contributed to that message or that theme. Mm-hmm. But there's such a huge difference between something like Immortality, which is nominated here and which has a very small team, and which I think Sam Barlow, who works on that team, would feel fairly confident describing himself as the director of that game. I think that's how he's described himself in interviews.
Especially because that game is so much like a movie, but
right, as compared to Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, and Horizon Forbidden West, which are all such huge games. And I'm sure everyone would be like, well, Maddy, of course Miyazaki directed Elden Ring, but you know what I'm saying? It's such a completely different conversation to consider a director's role in delegating to hundreds of people versus to 3 people or 2 people. I'm not saying it's easier or harder. It's simply really different.
Yeah, I think so. I have a few categories that I want to throw into the ring that I think are interesting. I tend to think that these more specific categories, best score in music, best art direction, those are pretty clear cut.
Yep.
I like those because you can just look at them and talk about them. There are a few I think are interesting for specific reasons. First, best performance. This is for 2 reasons. First of all, 3 performances that I really liked in games that I played: Christopher Judge in God of War, Ashley Birch in Horizon Forbidden West, and Manon Gage, who was the lead in Immortality, were all nominated, and they're all very different performances. It's a tough one for me because Manon Gage it's the type of performance you don't see in games very often. It's very edgy and risky in a way. Like, she does nudity and sex scenes and death and murder, and she's covered in blood, and then there's so much
characters.
Stuff. Yes, yeah. She does a lot of different stuff. She's playing like different versions of the same character, and that's fun. And it's a live action performance, so we're really looking at this person. It kind of stands out. But like I said when we were talking about God of War Ragnarok, I guess during the Beans cast, I think Christopher Judge was phenomenal in that game. And like we said when talking about Horizon Forbidden West, Ashley Birch, again, got to play multiple characters in the same game and did a great job. I mean, she was a real standout in that game. It's a fun one to consider. I'm wondering what you think between those 3, the 2 of you.
I mean, I think Ashley Birch, if I had to vote on this personally, I feel like it's Ashley, but I totally take your point about the other performances. And I feel like that's part of what's so cool about this category as compared to something shorter or something more specific, like a TV series. Like games also don't always let you see every facet of an actor's performance. So you might even be biased by which scenes you happen to see with an actor. And that's pretty fascinating compared to awards shows where everyone saw the exact same thing. But yeah, at least with this category, it's something really coherent to vote on. And even if it's a hard decision, it makes sense.
Yeah, I think that this one might benefit from maybe being expanded a little bit more. Maybe you get a best, especially as voice acting becomes more and more like professionalized, more and more like popular, more and more the quality goes up and up every year. Might benefit from splitting it the way that the Oscars do into leading male and leading female and supporting maybe. I don't know. Would certainly be more interested in that than some of these other categories like
I'd love a
family
supporting
and best
yeah,
sim strategy.
That'd be really
cool. But yes, that's a good one. I think Christopher Judge will win by a mile, but
probably
just because of the nature of the awards and who votes on them and stuff like that, and also recency bias, I think plays in.
I think, it's given that Ashley Birch is also in Mythic Quest, like it'd be cool to see her win. She's been such an ambassador for games in a way that I could see her winning for that reason as well. But yeah, it'll probably be one of those two, but who knows? There's also, with Best Performance, there is the fact that there's a performance quality to unvoiced characters, and animation plays a role in performance. And when Christopher Judge or Ashley Birch in particular, since Manon Gage is playing herself on camera, when one of them wins Best Performance, the animation team, the mocap team, there are a whole lot of people who play a role in that performance. I think that's very interesting. And you can kind of extrapolate it even farther to look at, I don't know, like a beloved character from maybe Persona. I guess they have voices in Persona. Some visual novel or something where people don't talk. Or how about Case of the Golden Idol? One of our favorite characters from that game. Any of the sort of recurring characters, you could say that is a performance. It's mostly just pantomime. It's freeze-framed faces drawn by their maniac art director, but it is a performance. And I think that's kind of an interesting wrinkle that games can add to the idea of best performance that I just think is kind of cool. You're really
right. And I'm also thinking about how in Bayonetta 3, apparently they changed the dancer who ordinarily provides the dance moves. And that is not the same person who does the voice acting or any number of other things that contribute to Bayonetta's entire oeuvre. And that was fascinating to me to just hear about that and have that be something that some people were complaining about. And we're like, the dance moves are a little different in this game. And I really noticed that they changed the dancer and I don't like the moves. And it's just like, wow, that's something that you don't necessarily notice right away. But once it's pointed out, you're like, yeah, it is a little bit different, isn't it? And all of that contributes to how you perceive this character.
It's sort of like in Jennifer Beals in Flashdance, right, where she had a dancing double and then the dancer didn't get credit.
Yes, I do remember that.
It's like version of that, the video game version of that, which is kind of cool. Another category I was thinking about that I just think is kind of cool because the entries are all very different, but they reflect cool aspects of video games is Best Narrative, because Immortality, Elden Ring, and God of War Ragnarok are all nominated. And this is another one where I think I like this category because Best Narrative, you can look at Immortality. We talked about this quite a bit last week when we talked about 2 of the 3 of these games last week, talking about mysteries. Immortality is this mystery where the story in your head that you're assembling is the mystery. And you can really not get the story by the end of it and totally miss the narrative because you didn't solve the mystery or you didn't see everything or kind of do the work or have it hit you in the right way. Where Elden Ring is kind of similar, where the narrative of that game, it lives in VaatiVidya YouTube videos, and it's this whole huge elaborate thing. But it's amazing when you look at it and take it on those terms, which are uniquely video gamey. Where the narrative in God of War Ragnarok, I would say, and something that we return to many times in our Beans cast, is a lot of amazing moments, but it overall doesn't quite cohere into something that we found that satisfying, even though it has all the trappings of an amazing AAA cinematic story with acting and the kind of traditional kind of cinematic storytelling. So I think it's actually really interesting that these games are pitted against one another, and just to see what the zeitgeist is among voters, what kind of stories they're more into.
This is definitely a category where I'm sad to not see A Case of the Golden Idol and A Citizen Sleeper in there, though.
Absolutely.
It's cool
Agree
to
about
see
both.
an indie like Immortality in there. I'm just, it doesn't make sense to me, especially given that Citizen Sleeper is in so many other categories. I'm not sure why it wasn't nominated here. This feels like its category.
Yeah, Citizen Sleeper is nominated for Games for Impact. It's a game for impact, Maddy.
That's one of those meaningless categories.
I think I said this last year. Games for Impact is just a real mealy-mouthed category.
That's a funny one.
Yeah, it gets I Was a Teenage Exocolonist a nomination, and I've heard nothing but good things about that game. And Citizen Sleeper deserves more awards, but that's a strange award.
It just feels like ghettoizing games that are associated with marginalized people. I have nothing nice to say about this category. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I get that completely.
I would much rather see those games get nominated for awards that have titles that you can actually put on your resume and have somebody look at the award and be like, I understand what that is and how you're proud of this. And Games for Impact just isn't that. And I feel like it does a disservice as a result of that. Like, put it in best narrative, you know?
There's a rhetorical move happening even in the name of the award that I find objectionable, that it is not even most impactful game.
Yes.
It is Games for Impact. So it just sounds like a second tier award.
Right.
It's not
and it's like
best
impacting
this,
what?
best that. Yeah.
It's
Silly.
the only one that isn't like of the year or like best.
Yeah, like what the hell?
Yeah,
it's its own thing. Okay, one more category that I think is interesting is best adaptation.
Yes.
Because they're all adaptations that I've watched, and this was a great year for video game adaptations. There was Arcane.
This is a new category.
This is a new
It was
one.
just added.
Great idea, and kind of a good time for this to start happening, because it's become the norm for there to actually be good video game adaptations, which did not used to be the case.
Finally.
Before it would be like the Assassin's Creed movie duking it out with
the Tomb Raider movie with Alicia Vikander.
The third Tomb Raider movie.
Well, what's funny is that the Uncharted movie is on that same tier, and that made it in here.
That's the only one that shouldn't be in here, and it won't win. I feel like this award exists to give Arcane the award.
No, it's Arcane is gonna. Well, Cyberpunk Edgerunners might be a close
Edgerunners was really
based
good
on the buzz.
So I watched Edgerunners, and I haven't finished it only because it's pretty grim, but it is good. It's very in line with Cyberpunk. I've seen a lot of people make the point that it's kind of like the story that they wished Cyberpunk 2077 the game had, because it's a very similar story of someone who starts with nothing and works their way up, becomes a cyber monster, and it kind of intersects with a lot of the same stuff in the city and all of that. It's pretty cool. It's not bad, but I do think this is Arcane's to lose, especially given that I kind of heard mixed things about the Cuphead show, and I don't like the Sonic movies that much, though I know a lot of people do. And I did watch Uncharted, and it was bad. It was just a bad movie. So, but it's cool. I like the idea of that category, just because it again raises interesting questions about what does it mean for something to be a good adaptation. And in the case of Arcane and Edgerunners, they're both adaptations that move away from the game. Arcane, I don't play League of Legends. I like actively kind of push myself away from League of Legends. I don't really like the aesthetic. I find it intimidating, and I'm not into it. I loved that show. It was great. And I didn't know when I was watching it that a bunch of the characters in the show are actually League of Legends characters. I sort of was like, oh, I assume these are made up for the show, but they're not. There's a lot of League of Legends characters there. So that's a cool approach. Edgerunners is very similar. It looks like the game in some ways and feels like it, but it's unique characters. Where Cuphead is like kind of the actual characters of the game, and you're getting to know them a little too well, I gather. And then Uncharted is the classic, let's just take Uncharted the game and make it into a movie, so you're just watching weird, gooey Uncharted cutscenes, basically, like not even set pieces. And it takes away the thing that makes it cool, so you're just watching kind of a charmless Indiana Jones ripoff. So it's cool to just look at different types of adaptations. I like this category a lot.
Okay, so two more quick things, and then we'll take a break. One is, first of all, if you want to feel really old, look through Content Creator of the Year or Best Esports Coach, both of which will make you be like, what?
This made me feel kind of out of touch.
It makes you feel out of touch. Second of all,
well, Triple Click isn't there. Come on.
Yeah, where's Triple Click?
Why aren't we under Esports Coach? What? I don't know.
We are the best esports.
Three
coach.
grumpy, aging games journalists or ex-games journalists.
Second, just to end on a note of like the most hilarious, like the one category that assures that this will never be taken seriously as an award show. Most anticipated game, which is just the silliest thing. The fact that they have an award for the game that people want to play most.
And that this award snubs Hollow Knight Silksong, because come on, that's the most anticipated game. That's the one. Resident Evil 4, I already played that. That game already exists. No, Silksong, that should be
maybe it's not on there because it'll be at the show, and so maybe it'll be ghost released at the show, so it can't be anticipated anymore.
They'll show a trailer at the show, and then people will be so excited for it that the anticipation will grow to the point where it will become nominated and win that night because of the trailer.
Jeff will pause the show and be like, "You're all going to want to recast your votes in the most anticipated category. I'll allow all of you to boot up the website again, and then everyone
Things have clearly changed in the wake of that trailer that I just showed for Hollow Knight Silksong.
So this category started in 2020, as far as I can tell, or at least it came back in 20. I don't know if they did it in the past.
It came back in 2020. Jason, I looked into this. It has come back and forth. I think 2017 and 18 it was there again, and then in 2019 it went away. I also was transfixed by this and was like, when did most anticipated game get allowed?
Point being, I tweeted last year about how it was the funniest thing because all of the entries for 2020 most anticipated game were exactly the same as 2021 because all these games were just delayed because that's what happens in the video game industry. And then I tweeted, this was last year, December 4th, 2021, looking forward to 2022's most anticipated game winner, the sequel to Zelda Breath of the Wild. Because that was on the 2020 list and the 2021 list. And guess what? It's also here. The list for this includes Final Fantasy 16, Hogwarts Legacy, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Starfield, and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Which is going to win, undoubtedly.
Going to win, as predicted. Hilarious. Yeah. Most anticipated game. Congrats to the marketing teams. I would have more respect for that award if they just called it Best Marketing. But that, I think, is just, it kind of speaks to the nature of this show.
Best marketing or like sequel to the best game.
Right,
that's really what that award is. Sequel to a game that the most people
to a really wildly popular
Starfield
game.
And the Harry Potter games are not sequels. So, and Elden Ring won it.
I know.
Elden Ring won it the last 2 years. So
no, I'm just saying that Zelda, it's like partly marketing and partly that everyone is just excited for a sequel to Breath of the Wild. So of course it's very anticipated.
Right, that's the thing. It's like how you win by like releasing the game of the year in 2017 and then announcing a sequel. That's how you win this award.
Yeah, right. People are excited for sequels to great games because they're going to be good.
All right. Let's take a break. I mean, we'll all be watching this thing tonight, and I'm sure we'll talk about if there's anything exciting to talk about. I'm sure we'll talk about it in the coming weeks. In the meantime, let's take a break, and we'll be back for one more thing.
You probably already have a favorite animal. Maybe it's a powerful apex predator like the tiger or a cute and cuddly panda. And those are great, but have you considered something a little more unconventional?
Could I perhaps interest you in the Greenland shark, which can live for nearly 400 years? Or maybe the jewel wasp, who performs brain surgery on cockroaches to control their minds?
On Just the Zoo of Us, we review animals by giving them ratings out of 10 in the categories of effectiveness, ingenuity, and aesthetics. Listen with friends and family of all ages to find your new favorite animal with Just the Zoo of Us on MaximumFun.org or wherever you get podcasts.
Hello, I'm a stuffy dowager countess.
Travis?
I'm judging everybody's manners.
Oh, no.
Schmanners isn't judgy. It's about teaching you to be your best self and be a little more confident when you enter social situations that you don't understand, and maybe also teach you a little bit about history you didn't know, or give you interesting things to talk about at parties.
Yeah, like The Secret Life of Emily Post.
Or like why wristwatches are the way that they are.
We can talk about table manners from the Victorian era.
Sure, or what it's like to attend a Regency ball.
Yeah.
You can find all that and more if you listen to Schmanners on Maximum Fun or wherever your podcasts come from, I guess.
Manners, schmanners. Get it?
And we are back. Kirk, Maddy, let's do one more thing. Maddy, go first.
Okay, so I have a recommendation for what I would describe as a podcast, but it's on a different app that is called Callin, like Callin. Have you two heard of this? Callin.com is a website
I
where
think
shows
they talked
of
about
this,
it. Yes,
of this variety
on Hot
run.
Pod.
And almost all of them are really unpopular, and like 6 people use the site. And so if you look at the top shows, this show I'm recommending will be there because this is an extremely unpopular website, seemingly. Nice. And this show is hilarious and it's extremely raunchy. So if you're listening with children, I'm going to try to describe what this show does without scandalizing your kids. So this show is called The Steam Room, which is a joke about how hot it is. And the co-hosts are Ben Mora and Hesse. Hesse does not reveal her last name anywhere, or at least I can't find it. And this is a gay man and a trans woman, and all they do pretty much is tell dick jokes for an hour every week. But it's a call-in show, and
can we nominate them for best content creator?
Honestly,
at the game?
I love them so much. They're so funny, and Okay, so I'm gonna recommend an episode which is titled "How Many Inches Is Enough." Which, of course, is about exactly what you'd think it would be about. But it's a call-in show, and they have sort of like a rotating cast of characters who call in. And like, the more you listen, the more you're like, oh, I remember this person and that person. And it's all of their fans are really, really funny. And they just have no issue at all with just saying wildly offensive things against themselves as queer people. And that is weirdly refreshing to me in a time period when a lot of queer discourse is about how we're all, about to have all of our civil rights stripped away. And there's just something really nice about listening to a show where people repeatedly make fun of the stereotypes about themselves, lean into the stereotypes, and also tell jokes about their dicks for like an hour every week. And it's really funny. I don't know. You really have to like raunchy humor to like it. But if that sounds appealing to you at all, then I would recommend checking it out. It's called The Steam Room. You have to go to callin.com to find it. It's not on any podcast apps.
As one does.
I don't know why not, but that is the place where you can download episodes to it. It's a delightful show.
That's an underground recommendation.
Yeah.
Callin. I haven't used it, but I want to check it out now.
It's pretty good.
Kirk, what is your one more thing?
My one more thing winds up being kind of related to our main episode subject, and that is the 67th Academy Awards.
Are you saying people should go out and watch the 67th
Yeah,
Academy
how did
Awards?
you even watch
that's
this?
involved. There's a little bit more to this.
What year is that? What year is the 67th?
That happened in 1995, so it's for films from 1994. And this was a year that I gave a shit about the Oscars for the first time. I was, I guess, 15 years old, and I just really cared, and I was really into it. And so I remember it very well. My friend Sam and I were talking, about movies and about that. And we decided that we were going to do a movie club, which we've now been doing for a little while. And that's really my one more thing, is to talk about this and maybe give some listeners out there an idea for something fun they can do. So what we've been doing is watching every movie that was nominated for the 1995 Academy Awards, which were a particularly interesting and varied bunch of films. They include, let me see, I've got our list here. So that was the year that Forrest Gump won Best Picture, and Pulp Fiction should have won Best Picture, which is how I felt at the time and still feel now.
Okay.
So it was a big year, but it was also the Shawshank Redemption, Quiz Show, and Four Weddings and a Funeral give you some genre variants.
Some good movies.
Yeah, those are the Best Picture nominations. Or I don't know if Quiz Show was Best Picture, actually. But then you get some much more interesting stuff. This was a cool era for film because, like in Supporting Actress, you get Bullets Over Broadway, Tom and Viv. We watched The Madness of King George, which is a movie I never would have watched, but it's really fun to just watch a movie from 1994. They tend to be made with a lot of, cool cinematic techniques. There wasn't as much of a cinematic monoculture. This is something that has been widely discussed by a lot of people these days about modern films versus films of the 90s. But you get a lot of cool stuff. We recently watched Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, which I had never seen. Is like, a very well-known film in the queer canon. Not a movie I'd ever seen. It features Hugo Weaving and Guy Pearce. Younger Hugo Weaving. He's really great in it. Guy Pearce is really great in it too. Anyways, we just watched that. So not to get sidetracked on any of those films, it's a very fun thing to do. For really, you could probably do it for any year for the Academy Awards. I know there are people who do this for every Academy Awards.
So are you watching every movie that was nominated in every category?
Yes.
Wow.
And we've kind of arranged them in order of presentation, which works out pretty well. And then we spread the Best Picture films out throughout. I believe we put them in the order that they were sort of announced, how they'll give
Yes,
awards
they
and then
do
they
a little
announce the Best
trailer.
Picture nominees. I believe that's how we did it. So, and it's kind of worked out.
I assume Revenge of the Nerds 4, Nerds in Love, was nominated for quite a few Oscars that year.
It was, and I should say there are a couple of categories that we skipped. I think we didn't do, and there are a few that we didn't do, like Best Documentary. I don't think we're going to do. You could do that. We just it's already going to take us a long time because we do it kind of once a month and watch 2 movies. But it's just, there's a lot of stuff. The Client, Little Women, True Lies, Hoop Dreams, Speed. We watched Maverick. That's a terrible movie. I used to think it was kind of a fun movie, but no, it's very bad.
I thought it was so cool in high school and also
Same.
rewatched it and was like, oh no.
It's barely a movie. It doesn't even, it's so bad. We gotta watch The Mask, which I haven't seen in forever.
Oh, The Mask.
I watched The Mask recently because of God of War
I guess
Ragnarok.
because of God of War. So anyways, I wanted to suggest this, and really almost, anyone out there could do this, could watch this, this year of movies, and I'll probably be talking about them in the Triple Click Discord or something. So, you could kind of watch along.
Movies from 94. Check them out.
Not a bad thing to do. It was a pretty cool year for movies. So that's my one more thing.
Oh, The Page Master came out in 94.
Oh,
I remember
wow.
playing, I think there was a video game based on that game, based on that movie. I don't know.
Nice.
Okay, my one more thing is really depressing. My one more thing is Twitter. As
That
you
is
guys might have
depressing.
heard, and we haven't really talked about it on the show.
No,
Some
thank God.
rich guy bought Twitter.
Who? What?
Kirk, I know you
But
have
what?
cut Twitter out of your life. Maddie, you have a complicated relationship with Twitter.
I'm on
We
and
all
off
do.
the wagon.
Yeah.
Twitter.
I read a lot of articles about Twitter and Elon Musk these days. Though.
Well,
It's kind
there's
of hard
a lot
not
of
to.
a lot of interesting drama.
Yeah.
So Twitter has been an important part of my life for a long time. It's been an important part of my personal and professional life. I would not have met many good friends without Twitter, including Kirk Hamilton. I would not have had a lot of the professional success I have had without Twitter. And so it's unfortunate how much it's deteriorating and how quickly. As of right now, the site is still online. It has not had its big mega crash.
Though in the next week.
It is getting, what I suspected would happen is what's happening, which is that it's just slowly getting more and more unpleasant. And part of that is in terms of the content, because so many people are just talking about Twitter and the drama surrounding it and the guy who owns it now, which is just always unpleasant to see. And anytime his tweets pop up, it's always just a very unpleasant experience. But also just like a lot of little things, like suddenly things aren't working the way they're supposed to. Like suddenly there's some little quirks that you notice if you're like a big Twitter user. You see a lot more bots and spam. My mentions are like full of more and more crypto spam than they've ever been. And it just feels like it's going to turn into like, I don't know, like reading a Geo Media website on your phone, like trying to read Kotaku on your phone, where it's just like so unpleasant, then everybody just stops. And that makes me sad because there isn't really a place like it in a few ways. First of all, there isn't a place like it if you're a reporter and you want to get your work out there, you want to get info on your books or breaking news or whatever else. Like it's really the number one place, and there isn't really another replacement out there. And despite the rise of like other social media websites that are popping up, none of them have really been a viable replacement just yet. But also, it's just like I have a lot of relationships on there that, again, I know you guys both have complicated relationships with the place, but like I keep in touch with a lot of people I met on Twitter. I'm like, when I go to LA next week, I'm meeting up with some people who I've met through Twitter. So I just find it very valuable, and it's always a shame to see just some rich jerk just buy a thing and just ruin it for a lot of people. And it's too bad because I feel like if you polled most of America, they would probably say, no, one person should not be able to buy a company for 40 whatever billion dollars and just take it off the public, take it off the NASDAQ, take it off the stock market and just own it himself. But we allow that to happen because I guess inertia is a powerful force. Anyway, it's really a bummer, and I'm really depressed about like how it's going to look in the coming months and years. And I don't know what to do about it. I'm just sad.
Yeah.
Thank God we own this podcast and we'll never sell it to some rich asshole.
No way.
No, it's true. Yeah, I don't know. I like hold on to all the relationships that I got from Twitter. Those are real and those still exist. And Twitter dying won't make those not exist. And there could well be something that replaces it that's better. Like the platform does have problems, and the way that Elon Musk is just avoidable both on the platform and in life really reminds me of Trump. And the fact that Twitter, through its design, appears to most reward terrible dudes who just seem able to just command everyone's attention all the time makes me think maybe we could do better. There could be a better platform. And that wouldn't erase all of the benefits that came from Twitter, which I had as well. I met so many great people, including Jason Schreier, through Twitter. And I guess Maddy probably too. I mean, maybe. I think we probably were tweeting at each other before anything else. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of good things came of Twitter and a lot of bad things. But I'm a little more hopeful that something better could replace it. It probably won't tomorrow. Yeah. It's probably not going to be Mastodon or whatever these current things are out there. But
will not.
Things change, things move in cycles. If he ruins this, Musk ruins the site, something else will come up because that type, like a platform where everyone can communicate in that way, especially if it were better designed and not made to reward so much anger and that kind of engagement, could be really cool. And someone's going to figure it out. It just seems like there's a market for it. So someone will figure it out. I hope anyways.
I appreciate your optimism.
Yeah, I agree with Kirk for what it's worth. I know that there's been a lot of doom and gloom, and especially writers I know are like, oh, all these other platforms like TikTok, they're all based on your face. I don't want to have to make videos of myself just to share my content or take pictures of myself like on Instagram. And I understand that. I love that Twitter is mostly text-based. Like that is really what makes it different.
Also a great thing about podcasts.
Yes, is that they're text-based. You're right. And yes. I love writing down every single thing I say on here and memorizing those lines and then saying them every week.
It's a lot of work, but it pays off.
But I think that will remain. I think there is something to be said for just reading some words. And people were worried about that. I don't know, every year for my entire life.
Yeah, I mean, blogs have always been
would
a
stop
thing.
liking to read, and they keep
a lot of
reading.
people, a lot of writers have moved back to Substack. I'm going to be using my Substack a little bit more often. And
I loved you sent out a Substack newsletter, Jason, that was just a link to your work.
Let's get back into blog roles.
Yeah, I might do that.
Let's do blogging.
I might do that a little bit more often. But the problem is that you talk to anyone who's successful on Substack, and they're like, yeah, half of my subs, half of my new subscribers come from Twitter every week.
I know. So what does that say? I think other social networks will emerge. I don't know if they're here yet, but I think it will happen.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, on that optimistic note, I suppose, let's call it. Everybody enjoy the Game Awards tonight, or if you're listening to this post-Game Awards, hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you all next week.
Yeah, see you next week.
Bye.
Triple Click is produced by Jason Schreier, Maddy Myers, and me, Kirk Hamilton. I edit and mix the show and also wrote our theme music. Our show art is by Tom DJ. Some of the games and products we talked about on this episode may have been sent to us for free for review consideration. You can find a link to our ethics policy in the show notes. Triple Click is a proud member of the Maximum Fun Podcast Network, and if you like our show, we hope you'll consider supporting us by becoming a member at MaximumFun.org/join. Find us on Twitter at TripleClickPod, send email to tripleclick@MaximumFun.org, and find a link to our Discord in the show notes. Thanks for listening. See you next time.
MaximumFun.org.
Comedy and culture.
Artist owned. Audience supported.
Hey Siri, turn on recording. Hey Siri.
Why can't Siri close the door?
Turn on recording.
That's a real question.
Come on, Siri, close the door.
Siri.
If Siri got arms, that would be a problem. Siri developed some sort of physical. Yeah.
This is funny because Kirk isn't able to get Siri to do what he wants.
She never will. She won't listen to me.
He's shaking his head.
Siri, put down the knife. Siri. Siri.
Kirk, are you okay?
Switch my headphones. Just amateur hour over here. We already synced and I'm doing all this setup shit. Okay, cool. I am ready. Let's do it.